I want to talk at the top of this class because the number one player remains unchanged. It's Tyran Stokes. It feels like he's pretty consensus at this point that he is the number one guy. Tell me, what has he done to separate himself? Why has he kept his spot atop this class?
Well, it's as you look across this landscape, what you see is somebody whose skill set. Now, when it comes to the play on the basketball court, there's just a lot of stuff there. He's somebody who matches potential upside, still attainable potential upside, along with current production. And there's also a physical dominance that he has when he gets on the floor with his ability to consistently go at his peers, create advantages, and produce in a pretty major way. When you look at the 6'7", 225-pound frame, you see the length, the physical explosion that he has, but he's also got some processing ability, ball in hand, able to make plays for his teammates as well as himself, ability to get downhill. You see the path, you see the defensive upside, some
Mhm.
shot making stuff. And there's so much there, and he's done it at the highest level. 3 gold medals with USA Basketball and the FIBA stuff, and 20 a game. This is his third straight year on the EYBL 17U circuit, and you see that he's continued from 10 points to and continue to grow in his game that way. So there's just a lot there, and in a class where there's some uncertainties and some question marks, some guys that the highest level that you look at that have question marks when it comes to the basketball game between the lines with Tyran Stokes. There's a little bit more answers than his peers.
Right. Of course, Tyron Stokes, not too long ago, I think about a week ago, did depart his current high school. There's been all kinds of speculation. Will he try to reclass into the winter? What is he going to do? At this point, we're still pretty confident, right, that he's going to be in this recruiting class as far as what college he chooses.
Yeah, everything I'm hearing right now, obviously, it sounds like they're trying to possibly explore the potential of enrolling early. But everything I'm hearing right now sounds like high school is going to be the move.
All right, and that's um, sometimes a benefit. I know that it's always how quick can you start your clock, but we talk about questions around other guys at the top level, as you spoke about. Sometimes being able to be the best guy in your class, I feel like, is a little bit overlooked when these guys are evaluating what option they want to go for. Look,
Mhm.
this current class is, I mean, they're big time. You
Pretty
slot
good.
into that class and you're putting yourself in with the wolves for sure. Maybe here you have a little bit more attention on you, which sometimes can help you grow your game even more when you're kind of thought of as the guy. More people pouring more into you becoming that number one prospect that you're anticipated to be. We look though at some of the rest of the guys. I want to talk about Dylan Mingo. He's a guy who we talked about in the offseason over the summer, 6'5" point guard. I'm really interested in these big guards and how they can continue to develop. Um, we know obviously Caden Mingo already having an impact on the college game in his freshman season. So, what has Dylan done to keep climbing up this board, keep making his way towards the top?
Well, as you mentioned, there's a positional size to them. When you look at the top tier point guards in this class, they're all somewhat smaller.
Mhm.
But then you have Dylan, who's a ball in hand creator. He's a guy who gets into the teeth of a defense and creates something. Um, so he's got that great length, and you see the projectability. He's also the youngest player in this 2026 top 150. He's the youngest player there by a couple months. You see the upside. You see what he's already able to do. You see the defensive ability, able to guard both on the ball and very aggressive the ball with deflections and ability to play aggressively in the up the line and the passing lanes and all that. Gets into the teeth of the defense, draws a lot of fouls, draws a lot of contact, creates opportunities, and you just really like to see. And he can have 2 feet in the paint and live dribble pass, left hand, right hand, hitting the guys in the corner. The decision making that you see and the crafty nature that he has on the ball. There's a lot of stuff there that you like long term. Now, as we mentioned previously, there are questions.
Mhm.
All these guys have questions that come with it. He's a good athlete, not great athlete. There's the jump shot load is a little bit elongated when it comes to getting into the shot. So those are some things that he's going to have to clean up as he continues to move forward. But given his age, how young he is within this class, and then the upside, and the projectability, the instincts he has. He's got that it factor to him of just getting wins, making winning
Mhm.
plays throughout the course of a game, and then the upside with his positional size. There's just so much there with Dylan Mingo, with the production that's already in place.
Yeah. And Bryson Howard here comes in at number 3. He's moving his way up the board. Of course, rivals higher on him than the consensus at this point. Already a Duke commit. We know that John Shire has his sort of mold that he recruits to. He wants to be big. He wants to be long. Listed at 6'4", but Howard's got a lot of skills that are going to translate into that system, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's a connecting factor that Bryson Howard brings. At 6'4", 200 pounds, he's a big, strong, firm body. He's got a strong base. He's somebody who can dribble, pass, and shoot into an advantage. You put the ball in his hands, he can knock down shots at a high clip, spacing the floor. But you can also put the ball in his hands and let him create a little bit of offense. He plays a very efficient game. He's also very young for this class. Um, so you see some upside there. And watching him play also, there's a two-way factor to him. So not only is he able to dribble, shoot, and pass to an advantage and play off of multiple guys on the offensive end of the floor, on the defensive end of the floor, he's able to slide up and down the lineup as well. You'll see him guard at the point of attack. You'll see him get in the passing lanes aggressively off the ball, and you'll see him even be able to slide down and create leverage guarding on the block as he scales down a lineup. So with Bryson, while he might not have that top end, just that pop, that pizzazz that you have for the upside, there's a pretty high floor with what he brings and his ability to do so many things on the court at a high level, and while getting his own production, elevating the floor of the others around him as well.
Right. Caleb Gaskins comes in at number 4, already committed to Miami. Really interested to see that kind of Lucas pipeline that we're starting to see. Obviously, one of the top recruiters in the country when he was at Duke as an assistant. He's picked that right back up. Looks like he's going to have a really good player here, a 6'8" guy from the area at Columbus, and going to keep him locally at Miami.
Yeah, so when you look at Caleb Gaskins, what you see is he just checks a lot of boxes. The positional size that he has, 6'8", long arms. He's got a great frame, projectability as he continues to move forward. Where he's really developed is his shooting.
Mhm.
He's got real shooting touch, and that's something that helps space the floor, create advantages and everything, playing off the ball. If you're not going to be a primary creator with the ball in your hand, you want to be somebody who can knock down shots. And at 6'8", Caleb Gaskins is somebody who has a very, very pretty, picturesque looking jump shot. You think is going to continue to grow as he continues to develop comfort and confidence within his game. There's also the defensive side of the floor, as we mentioned with Bryson Howard. With Caleb Gaskins, he's able to guard multiple spots on the floor as well. He's able to guard off the ball. He's able to slide his feet with perimeter-based forwards, and then even scale down, with his strong, long frame and do that. I was talking with somebody previously. Reggie Bullock was a name that came up in shades of, or not one-to-one type stuff, but archetype, lineage,
Yeah.
potential outcome type stuff. Reggie Bullock was a name. Reggie Bullock still in the league cashing checks. You see this the size similarities. You see the jump shooting ability and all that, and you kind of see a pathway with Caleb Gaskins where he may not ever put up massive numbers because of the secondary nature of his game,
Right.
but you see a very real situation where the value he brings with the positional versatility, with the defensive side of the floor, and the depth shooting touch.
Yeah. When we talk about there's different types of draft classes and recruiting classes. And you look at this 25 class and it looks like, okay, you might be talking about the fourth, fifth guy and what is his star potential. But then there's other classes where you're looking for guys who are going to surround the stars that you have on the roster. You're looking for the guy who, as you said, the Reggie Bullocks of the world who are going to go out there and sure, they're not going to, pound the ball and get to a spot and create shots, but they do all the things, all the dirty work. They space the floor for those star players who need to get downhill, who need to get to those spots and just make life easier for the star. That's a big part of being in the NBA, of getting paychecks for 10 plus years is what do you offer that you can take off the plate of our star rather than necessarily what all can you take on your own plate?
Oh, absolutely. And kind of going through this process, especially with this class, we were spoiled this last class because if you think about it too, already you have the AJ Dybanisas and you have the Caleb Wilsons and Darren Petersons of the world, but people that went out of that class like the Mustafa Tiams and the Jaden Quaintances and Josan Sandin and guys, that was just a loaded class from start to finish throughout the whole process. So it was a little bit different of a methodology. Looking at this class, it's not quite. It doesn't have that pop at the top.
Yeah.
So at this point in time in the process, a lot of these guys, the Bryson Howards and the Caleb Gaskins, may not have that upside you say, but their floor is pretty high.
Yeah.
They had the floors of somebody as to like, okay, obviously they still got to put the work in. Things still got to break right for them, but there's very real NBA outlook looking for these guys. So let's go ahead and put them up in the process where we can see them ending up being. While they might not have the ceiling of some, they're you know they're their floor is relatively high. So in looking at a class like this, that's what makes it difficult because some of the best players in this class will probably come from the bottom of these rankings, just guys that develop later, guys
Mhm.
who go to the right system and they develop their game and confidence, maybe grow an inch or two, and all that stuff, the unforeseen stuff. So